Watch in this video how an American driver was able to cheat the system and win $100,000. What does it have to do with random.org? What numbers we name more often? And how thunderstorms help us save the economy of the whole world? In the first place, I would like to tell you an interesting story about Roy Sullivan, a US park ranger in National Park. Between 1942 and 1977, Sullivan was hit by lightning 7 times and survived all of them. These ad shots were based on this story. The story is simple truth. We all were told that lightning doesn't strike the same place twice. And if it happened, then it's perfect randomness. After analyzing a lightning video in the city of Tucson, scientists found out that out of 386 hits, 136 hit the same place 2 or more times. This is 35% of the total. For us, this is a pure accident because we cannot read the trajectory of each molecule in the atmosphere in order to predict where lightning will strike next. God does not play dice with the universe, said Albert Einstein. That's right, Einstein did not believe in randomness. Like, we still do not know all the laws of the universe, and when we find it out, no randomness will take place. Here's a coin. Sometimes I toss it to choose one of 2 options, make a long video or short. Heads should mean long. It seems that you cannot tell in advance whether it will come up heads or tails. In 2009, a student from London calculated 31 variables that affect the outcome. He assembled a special coin flip machine with 100% accuracy. If you throw it yourself, it will fall heads or tails with the same frequency. But it is interesting in what order. I tossed a coin 100 times and wrote down my results. At that time, I came up with my own random sequence and wrote it down. It turned out 2 records. And now take a look and try to answer the question, which sequence is random and which one is mine? If we look closely, we can see that in the first case, we can see that the outcomes are often repeated. For example, heads fell 5 times in a row and tails 8 times. In the second case, there are no such coincidences. This one was composed by me. And the first is the result of a random toss. It is easy to distinguish made-up sequences from random ones. The point is that we have a poor understanding of the probability theory. Intuition fails us. This phenomenon is known in gambling as gambler's fallacy. We often forget that the outcome of a random event doesn't depend on past attempts. If heads fell several times, then probably it's time for tails, right? But in fact, the probability remains the same. 50%. It's the same in the game of roulette. If black comes out 5 times, do not rush to bet on red next time. People lose a lot of money on these false conclusions. So, we found that the brain is not very good at handling random tasks, and intuition fails us.
It's difficult.
But what is more difficult is to make up these random numbers. When you are asked to name a random number from 1 to 10, what number do you think of? The number 11, 12, 34 seem to us more random than 10, 100, 2000. Calling numbers on the go in a random sequence, you will inevitably name some more often and avoid others. When giving a random number to Yellow Me, the red replied 42, 148, 18, but the red didn't take into account that he has 42nd foot size, 148 subs, and 18 kilometers it takes to get to the nearest coffee shop. And so, it becomes clear that it is quite difficult for us to come up with even a short sequence of random numbers. And what if you need 1,000, millions of random numbers? You probably didn't know, but the entire digital industry is built on random numbers. They are required whenever you send your credit card details, when you buy something on the internet. The entire circulation of medical and insurance documents and the economy of all banks in the world depends on random numbers. The secrecy of the messages of the military commanders of Iraq, Iran, Syria, America, and the whole world in general depends on random numbers. There are 2 main ways to generate random numbers: through mathematics and through physics. Simple mathematical formulas. We take a number, for example, the current time, 14:35, square it, delete the numbers from the middle and collapse the first and the last part. Obviously, for anyone who can guess these algorithms, the next number will not be random. Even the most complex algorithms for random numbers sooner or later get stuck. The most famous case of fraud occurred in 1983 on CBS Press Your Luck show. Truck driver Michael Larson looked like a gambling addict, completely out of control on the show. Larson won so much money that there was no longer space for the dollar sign on his digital podium. The entire program he won largest prizes over and over again and took for a total $110,237. Amazing sum for that time. Later, FBI found out that Michael had been recording the programs on cassettes for half a year and calculating the mechanism with algorithms. So he was able to calculate his every move on the program. Upon learning this, the channel's management asked to invent a system of random numbers. This is how the guys with random.org appeared. But how to find a truly, completely random number? To do this, we have to abandon mathematics, whatever the appearance is. We need tools where everything can happen with equal probability and completely by accident. We need chaos. If you look at chaotic pendulum, its individual parts are constantly changing their trajectory, creating new shapes in the air. Now let's go outside where there is wind and many other weather phenomena. If we measure their parameters and process them on a computer with the same algorithm, we will constantly receive random numbers. That means nature can help us shape ourselves into random numbers. The Grand Canyon, waves in the ocean, oscillation of the iron atom, wind, lava lamps, and of course lightning that nearly killed Roy Sullivan. All this may be called chaos or entropy. The random.org website gives truly random numbers, and it takes the noise as entropy that occurs under the ionosphere after lightning discharges. Every second about 40 lightnings strike on the planet. That's 3.5 million strikes per day. The weather is very difficult to predict. This is where the butterfly effect works. That means the flap of a butterfly's wing can push a few molecules and completely change the behavior of the entire system. In the book of Debbie and Richard Lawrence, God's Design Our Universe, there is a very good thought. To determine the parameters of the entire system of our planet, it is necessary to know the speed and the position of each individual molecule, as well as each individual molecule in the universe, which is impossible. Therefore, creating random numbers based on the chaos of the weather is ideal. Unique encryption keys are created by random numbers, a kind of secrets stuffed with bits. That is why when transferring money through a bank, it is very difficult for cybercriminals to intercept transactions. For example, to crack a 1 to 8-bit key, the attacker's computer will go through combinations not for an hour, not a week, or even 10 years, but for so many years. But what if the random numbers aren't that random? If you take a circle inscribed in a square and start to put points at random, and then the number of points that fall into the circle you divide by the total number of points and multiply it by 4, you get the p number. And the more such points there are, the more accurate the model will be, which of course is paradoxical. It is also paradoxical 7 lightning strikes in the same person. Was it accidental or consistent with a Roy Sullivan incident? So far we cannot predict every movement of a molecule in the universe. We will not be able to answer many questions, but we were able to cunningly use this chaos for our own purposes. You believe in luck, and your luck depends on the vibrations of iron atoms or the chaotic nature of a thunderstorm. That's probably why I don't believe in luck. Take care.